This is the Ground Game Podcast, where we cover politics from the ground up. Here are your hosts, Tom LoBianco and Patrick Pfingsten.
Just 96 hours from now, from this very second, this old, mean, crazy, orange, bad hairdo guy and his group of crazies enter 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah.
Who freaking
just,
Ray?
2 blocks south of me.
Yeah, where are you?
That's
you,
right.
You are not in your typical
I'm hanging out
location.
I'm hanging out at the St. Regis right now, which is very nice, very fancy. Here, let me give you I'll give you all a look around. It's a nice spot. It's where the Christian Science Monitor usually holds its breakfast. Here, see. This is you could be forgiven for believing that this is actually my regular workspace.
Right.
My mahogany panels at my house.
Yeah, and I'm at the Hey Adams on Tuesdays.
I knew that was you.
All right, welcome to our special pre-inaugural edition of the Ground Game Podcast. I'm Patrick. He's Tom. We are. I don't even know what to say. Right. I've been battling with this for weeks about how to feel as. I mean, the Biden administration was, for all intents and purposes, a complete disaster.
I don't know about that.
Complete disaster.
Wow.
A guy who positioned himself in 2020 as the guy who could clean up the mess, who would moderate our politics, who would center us back to normal, step aside in 2024 and get us back into the space of our normal civil politics. His giant ego took over. John Meacham telling him that you're the new FDR, you're the new LBJ. You can tell John Meacham wrote his speech last night, by the way. And
I thought it was historic. People will look back on it. Absolutely.
No, they're going to look back and see a mumbling old man who didn't know where he was. It was terrible. It was awful. He looks bad. He sounds bad. He should have never been at this stage at this point. And he's the reason. He's the reason Donald Trump's getting inaugurated on Monday. Not Kamala Harris, not Donald Trump's campaign, not Susie Wiles. Joe Biden is the reason this happened.
Well, I forget who wrote this. It was a very good assessment because, I mean, it's the Super Bowl, right? I mean, we're not playing in the Pee Wee League here. All right, this is the NFL. All right, and Pence did the one thing that actually stopped it, even though he was obsequious the entire time for 4 years when he was in office. Biden claimed he was going to stop it, but then ended up not being able to stop it. All right, so right, at the end of the, I think we talked about this before. If you win a Super Bowl by a field goal or 10 touchdowns, you won the Super Bowl. All right. And I agree with you. All right. Like that really, it's consequential, historically so.
Drop us your comments on YouTube or send us a note on Twitter, or be one of your blue sky liberals who says, I'm not talking about that guy.
Yeah.
In case you missed it, Ron DeSantis appointed Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody for Marco Rubio's U.S. Senate seat. Who cares? It's all just
I care.
another...
I care. Here's why.
I've got my grumpy pants on today, buddy.
Yeah, no shit, dude. Jesus Christ, what'd you get? Like 3 hours of sleep as opposed to 4?
4.5 last night with the 4-week-old baby. So
okay, so is your sleep starting to group together as the baby's does?
Well, so what we've been doing the last couple of nights is I'm trying to go to bed at like 9 or 10, which last night was more like 10:30 or 11. Sleep until 1, relieve my wife. She goes to sleep. And then I'll try and sleep on and off, but the baby's not sleeping very well. So I was able to sneak like an hour in while she was
Dude.
down overnight, and then I was up by 5 to get ready for the radio show at 6.
Jesus, dude. You gotta.
So
you
yeah,
need a
I'm tired. I'm
vacation,
grumpy.
man.
I'm
You
tired.
got
I'm
backup
grumpy.
over there.
What's that?
You got backup with grandparents.
Oh, Grandma will be here this afternoon.
Oh, good. All right, man.
Hang out.
Yeah, you need that.
Grandma's going to hang out with the 3-year-old this afternoon. So and
Something.
I've got Tammy Duckworth at some point today that I'm supposed to talk to, and then I've got meetings in the city this afternoon. So I'm slammed. So it's
Marathon, baby. Look here. I mean, look. This is the advice I give from smart people. I will share it here for everybody. All right, pace yourself. All right. This is there. There are no. You just did a decade of sprinting. Okay, and see where that got you.
Listen, this beard is white at 41 for a reason. Okay, I have not been pacing myself for any time.
Man, you gotta start. That's true of anybody. All right, including our boy Jay Lopez. Okay, so here's my context. This is important, and this what we talked about this with Dick Toffel on the pod a couple days ago. Uh, Details matter, facts matter, historic context.
No, they
That
don't.
was
Not
lo-
anymore.
Yeah,
Not anymore.
Hey.
If facts
Everybody-
mattered, Pam Bondi would have been rejected by the Senate Judiciary Committee. If facts mattered, Pete Hegseth would have gotten more than a butt slap from Senate Democrats
Did get a butt slap.
on Tuesday. It was crap. It was crap.
That's what happens
The only
after the butt
one
slap.
who actually made the point that he was completely unqualified for the job was Tammy Duckworth.
Yeah, she did pretty good.
Because
Yeah.
she and she's not particularly eloquent as it is.
I thought Hirono was interesting. Not in
Toronto sucks out loud.
Well, hold on a second. Because all right, we listen for different things. Okay, number one, let's just get back to Florida Senate real quick. That was Laura Trump's seat. Remember?
It's Laura Trump's seat in 2026.
Potentially. But remember back to North Carolina 2022? That was Laura Trump's seat. Keep these things in mind. Context matters. All right. Lots of everybody else can make big proclamations. It's our job to bring back down to earth. All right. I'm going to cut $2 trillion. Oh, now it's $1 trillion. Going to cut $1 trillion. Maybe 100 million. Maybe.
All right, so let's circle back here. You're in downtown DC. We are 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days from inauguration.
4 days out. Mm-hmm.
What does it look like? What does it sound like? Is it just another day in Washington right now?
Pretty quiet right now. I mean, it's been pretty cold. We just had for Washington, would count as a snowstorm. Cleanup takes a hot minute out here. This is not Chi-Town. But I think things are really going to start gearing up tomorrow. So it's Thursday. Friday is when most of the big balls start happening. You're going to have all the tech bros, Musk, Zuck, Beal, Bezos, everybody start doing the crypto ball with Snoop Dogg, who is to everyone listening, I hear that Patrick takes payment in Bitcoin. I, however, do not. All right.
Do I look like somebody who takes Bitcoin? I'm from
a
farm.
A crypto farm?
Not a crypto farm or any sort of farming operation. But listen, I just this is so much different, and I've largely avoided DC the last couple of years because I haven't had to be there.
Yeah,
no reason. And I don't really want to be there right now. Certainly not this week. 2017, when Trump was inaugurated, was a very different world than we're in today.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Trump still had a ton of detractors inside the Republican Party. Like, I wasn't such an outlier in 2017. Right. Like I was still probably considered a Republican in 2017.
Yeah, I think
so.
Well,
no, I definitely was still considered a Republican in 2017 because I'd worked a bunch of Republican campaigns in 16 and 18 and early in 20. But they didn't want any of the normies around, the Bushies, right? They hated those people, and it led to complete and utter chaos. This time around, there's still going to be complete and utter chaos because that's what Trump does.
Right.
But now you have people who are toadies and maybe used to be normies who are all on board, who all have their red hats, who are all going to have a better sense of how to run the government this time. So not only is it going to be different than the first time when they didn't know how to run it and ran it badly, now they know how to run it and they're going to run it worse.
Yeah, look, the first 2 years, I was actually talking about this a little bit with Michael Cohen, our friend, the pollster, Michael Cohen, who will have an excellent column coming up next week over at 24site.news, 24sight.news, about this very thing. All right, what policies can we expect? What actual action can you expect? And if you look at it, I mean, as much as some of the flamethrowers, bomb tossers like Steve Bannon, et cetera, will go out there and say, "Oh yeah, this guy's going to be a dictator for life," blah blah blah. They're behaving as though they understand that this is the last term, right? I mean, it's almost impossible to amend the Constitution to change term limits. All right, that's not going to change. It's highly, highly, highly unlikely. They're behaving as though this is the legacy term. All right, and which really means that you have 2 years before Democrats potentially take the House of Representatives, which ends the ability to do big things, right? And you can make a pretty good argument. It's pretty hard to do big things right now anyway. I mean, the margins are so thin in the House. So, will there be, again, we talked about this with TOEFL on, a couple days ago. There's going to be a lot of marketing. There's going to be a lot of branding. Maybe we should take a cue. I could tell everyone listening that we have 28 million viewers, which is more people than live in America. All right. Now that's the kind of marketing we're going to be hearing. All right. Maybe we should start doing that too. All right. But demonstrably, it won't live up to that marketing. And I think that's going to be incumbent on us in how we report about it. But the first 2 years are going to be real important. All right. That's the capital L legacy part of this.
I'm interested in, excuse me, what the initial messaging from the new administration is. And I think it starts with obviously the inaugural address, right? It 8 years ago, it was American Carnage, right? It was clearly the Stephen Miller written, the world's going to hell in a hula hoop. And only I can fix it. That was a convention line, but still, I mean, that was the we are screwed, right? This is dystopia world, and Daddy Trump's here to fix it.
Right.
The messaging this time around, we have no freaking idea of what he's going to say. And while Susie Wiles is doing a good job of making the trains run on time, and may be able to limit access of the crazies, that it's, I don't know what to expect. I don't know if it's going to be American Carnage or if it's going to be, I love you all. I'm Barney, the big orange president, and we're going to all get along. I talked to our friend Matt Lewis today.
Awesome. Right
on the radio. Yes. And he said it could be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Right. That it's I'm going to, the world sucks and I'm going to fix it. And we're all going to be together afterward, which is crap. Right. But I think the messaging will be interesting, not only from the inaugural, but in those first couple of days.
Yeah.
When one, you have all of the executive orders he's going to push out.
Right.
And two, if he's going to pardon the January 6th convicts, the criminals who tried to overthrow the government in his name.
Mm-hmm.
And three, what do they start to push from the podium? I forget what the new press secretary's name.
Caroline Leavitt.
Caroline Leavitt. I don't know anything about her. I've seen her on TV a couple of times, but
Ran for Congress a couple of years ago.
From New
Lost up in New Hampshire.
Hampshire.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
So is she going to get up and make it sound like a normal administrative press conference, or is it going to
No.
be Sean
No.
Spicer's descent into madness
Well, it
of
won't be
this was
that
the
either.
largest inaugural crowd of all time, even though we can tell
No.
by photos that it wasn't?
It's going to be a rhetorical trial by combat. Probably not from the beginning, but look, you're going to have they invited Joe Rogan to go be a member of the press corps. All right, say Joe Rogan, please come to sit in the White House. All right, come sit up here. And Rogan, understanding his audience and his 9-figure contract or however much he's getting paid. Like this guy's like 1/10 of a Howard Stern. Okay, that's how much money he gets. Said, nah, I'm not going to
It
do
has
that.
about 10 times the audience.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, more like Stern. Yeah, like at his peak back in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean his numbers today via podcast, and I don't know his full numbers, but I know that they're good. I mean they rank up there with Rush or
Yeah.
Stern at their power.
Rush. Yeah, he is the Rush of this moment. If you think back a couple years to all that fighting between like Dan Bongino, Buck Sexton, a bunch of the who's the other one, the football guy, Clay Travis, all these
God,
people who
don't get me
won it.
started.
Yeah. Well, and you know what though? Look at like the people with real audiences, and I think this is a level of grounding for everybody. The people with real audiences, we're making real money right now. They don't want to be associated with politics. So even though Rogan himself is deeply entrenched in politics after this election, he doesn't want that imprimatur.
It's interesting you say that, because do you know how much money Pete Hegseth was making at Fox News?
$4 million.
$2 million, over $2 million a year at Fox News.
Good for him. Jeez.
To be a weekend morning show face.
I'll see you later, man. I'm hopping on the Acela up to Manhattan.
Right? I mean, what the hell do you want to go be in the administration for? You're going to make $200,000 as Secretary of Defense or something, and you're probably going to be terrible at the job anyway. But is it fealty? It's certainly not service.
No, I mean, there's no limits on cashing out afterwards. That's why, and you saw that during the confirmation hearing. So that's what will actually happen. Who knows? All right, but that's yeah.
What do you expect to hear? Drop us a mention in the chat, or drop us a note on Twitter, or let us know what you're expecting from the Trump speech on Monday. It's hard to imagine that we are there already. We mentioned Biden in his farewell address in the Oval yesterday, where I thought he looked and sounded bad, and that his legacy is going to be the guy who enabled Trump to come back. Certainly, they're going to try and rehab that in some way afterward, but they don't have what Jimmy Carter had in 45 years to fix it.
Right.
What will, I mean, obviously my view on Biden is pretty dour. What's your view on Biden's legacy?
Look, I think that the next 4 years for him will be tough, obviously. And he's old. This is not Carter. So, there's potential he passes away while Trump's in office. I was watching the Carter funeral and I was thinking to myself, my God, what happens with the next one? The next person, the next former to pass away. All right. What would that look like? All right. I mean, you saw a little bit of the drama, Karen Pence being like, no fucking way I'm shaking your hand because you almost got us killed. All right.
Literally.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah. Like, so you saw some of that drama. I wonder what would happen with the next funeral, because I don't see Trump showing up for anybody's funeral, much less Melania. That will never happen. Maybe they send Vance and the new second lady, but I don't think it's going to take some time. before that assessment happens. All right, before we have a very good assessment of what his record is, at least a decade, to the extent we still have history books at that point.
By the way, Trump is older than both George W. Bush and Bill
He
Clinton.
is. He is.
Not by
Yeah.
long, by a couple of months.
Yeah.
But he is the oldest. I mean, outside of Biden now, he's the oldest living former president.
Yeah.
Biden's still the president, so he is the oldest former living president.
Well, I mean, look, he had, you had a lot of his own people, behind the scenes raising concerns about dementia. All right. So it was true of both candidates, until Harris, Biden dropped out and Harris got anointed. So, those concerns are still there. That has not changed. How much of that was performative? We'll find out. Is this one of those things where it's like, Kennedy in the late stages, the 60s, where they start hiding him more because he can't walk as well. All right, and that's a real thing.
Well, and certainly FDR, right? Who the public didn't know was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, absolutely. They used to carry him up in the. And Kennedy, they used to lift him up to Air Force One in the cherry picker, so that nobody would see him. Maybe they should have done that with Biden. I mean, you can make an argument that for his,
they hit him a ton.
Well,
they hit him a ton. Nobody saw. Work. Nobody knew this.
Didn't work very well, did it? We still have the footage of him.
Well, it all did. I mean, it blew up in their face in June.
And I was listening to the was it Pam Bondi yesterday, and the fake John Kennedy, not the president, the country bumpkin from Louisiana. Yeah.
Who went to Yale, by the way, and sounds like that. You tell me who's putting on a show.
Right. Foghorn Leghorn. Right. It was like, well, I'm just from the country. I don't know anything. Which, by the way, that's kind of lame, saying that, just assuming as an Ivy Leaguer that people from the country don't know anything. But anyway.
Was that Sam Ervin? Was that Sam Ervin during the Watergate hearings? Well, I'm just a country lawyer. Right? Do you not remember that? I mean, we weren't alive for that, but I remember. I've seen the
lean into it too hard. No, but he said that that Biden's staff should go to jail because they hid his infirmity. All right, and the way he did it was slick. It was very classic Washington slick. He said, well, some people are out there talking about prosecutions for these people, which is hashtag many people say, and. Now, will any of that happen? I don't think so, because look, there's statute. All right, what charge would you bring? All right. Now, I do think what will happen there is a concern, about press freedoms. All right, is more aggressive enforcement. Look at what Trump did with his own cases, appealing them up to the Supreme Court, setting benchmarks. All right. They're going to do the same thing with the Espionage Act in how they handle reporters at the White House. That's I've heard a little bit of that. I entirely believe that will happen. I think media lawyers are going to have a lot of work during the next 4 years. Look at the FCC, the Democratic chair, Joyce Rosensteele, I think, tossed out a bunch of cases on the way out, citing concerns that they would be used to weaponize the FCC against the networks. All right. So, I think that is a real thing. How successful is it? I don't know. But I think attempts will be made.
Outside of Trump himself on Monday, certainly there, nobody else really speaks. Vance doesn't speak or anything like that. But what are you watching for? You're going to be there,
so I'll be there. Yeah.
Kevlar vest and all that stuff. What are you looking for?
Well, there was a lot of talk, these floats, all leaks come from inside Trump world. All right, so let's just start from there. Anonymous sources on these stories. That comes from inside Trump world. And why does that happen? Because he wants it out there. All right. So I'm watching to see, did they make a serious offer to Xi Jinping to attend? Did they make a serious offer to Jair Bolsonaro? All right, to attend? Maybe they show up. right? Like maybe you do have, certainly in the case of President Xi, a foreign adversary is actually attending a U.S. or reported foreign adversaries attending a U.S. inauguration. All right. Now we do know already that you're going to have the big tech people. All right, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Jeff Bezos, everybody with a contract who's got some money in the game will be sitting there with the Trump family. All right, that's already been reported.
Let's capitulate, bros.
So don't think you're going to find the Salzburger family up there.
Lord.
I don't know about what's his name. Who's the LA Times guy? Soon Shong. Maybe he'll show up. I doubt it.
Our boy Todd Young from Indiana, Trump's Treasury Secretary nominee Scott Bessent is having his hearing as we speak. Young says to Bessent that tariffs can strengthen certain relevant national security industries, but overuse can also inflate costs. Indiana farmers often bear the impact of retaliation. Bessent says, rural voters have supported Trump and know he supports their interests. I will push for the purchase guarantees in the China agreement reached during the first Trump term to be enforced. Young says sector-specific approach would be effective for tariffs, but Bessent says a more general tariff could be used for a revenue raiser for the U.S. government. It's just so outrageous.
That's interesting.
I mean, first of all, Todd Young may be one of the last senators who's got his brain connected to his body, but I'm interested though in how they're going to enforce this stuff.
They're not going to. I mean, look, they gotta. These guys gotta survive, right? Look at Cassidy. Cassidy now in Louisiana, he's up in 2 years. All right. So, I mean, you got a number of folks.
It's not 2 years anymore. It's next year. Primaries are like 13, 14, 15 months away. Like you start circulating petitions in Illinois in August. So like we'll have to know Dick Durbin status and stuff by the end of the summer. I mean, we're going to have Virginia
we're on it already. And New Jersey decided in a few months in the primaries. June. You excited? Come on out the East Coast, man. Thank you.
Who are your I don't even know who's running. Is it Spanberger in Virginia as the Democrat? She's running against Winsome Sears, right?
Yep. Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears is going to be. She's probably going to have the Republican nomination. You might have. I don't know how serious this is, but you might have the former Congressman Denver Riggleman runs an independent. So it's kind of to the extent there is a never Trump, lane up the middle. Which you could. I mean, look, you could have in a place like Virginia.
Yeah, the suburban DC voters are just going to vote Democrat, though.
Right, exactly. If anything, he eats into Spanberger, who is, they basically cut from the same cloth. New Jersey is going to be very interesting in the Democratic primary.
So that's Mikey Sherrill.
1 second to run to the source meeting across the street. Josh Gottheimer is a big one. You got the current mayor of Newark. You got a teachers union guy up there. You got a lot of local folks. That could tell you more about the future of the Democratic Party, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly like New Jersey trended toward Trump more than a lot of states in November. So we'll see if it
really did.
If it if it continues that way, or if Democrats bring things back to normal in November of 25. So what's your out time? When do you got to get out of here?
1 minute.
Okay, so you do have to hard out. Okay.
1 minute.
All right, so let me know real quick before we let you go, Tom. Final thoughts, final expectations. What do you expect for Monday?
I expect a short speech. It's cold outside, not very lengthy. I'm watching for actions. Any policy details they're talked about. We already know most of this stuff. deportations, immigration, taxes, renegotiating tax reform from 8 years ago. From there, tariffs. What does that look like? Got to watch what happens with the executive orders. That's going to be the first real tell. Don't watch the speech. Watch the executive orders.
And don't watch the inaugural balls. Watch the national championship football game Monday night, because that's way more exciting than watching inaugural
Let's go
ball.
Irish.
Bottom line is, it's going to be a shit show. We all know it's going to be a shit show, and then we just have to see how bad it gets in the days after. So, all right. He's Tom LoBianco. I'm Patrick Pfingsten. Thanks for taking time. Like, follow, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, all that stuff. And we'll see you next time. We're not going to have a show before the inauguration, but we'll have one first thing Tuesday morning, break down everything with our friend Chris Saliza, Mr. Saliza. And we'll see you then here on the Ground Game Podcast. See you, everybody.
Your honorary paisan, Patrick.
Right. Thanks.